What's up, guys? Welcome to another session on Bookends. Building out the Bookends application just as a proof of concept. One, because I want to use it. Two, I feel like others might want to as well. Maybe Amir. Maybe Amir wants to use it. I'm not
I
sure.
think that's the idea.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
Good. Sorry, I just forgot my headphones upstairs, and I've forgotten them like 15 times now today. So I knew, I knew that it was going to happen. There was no way around it. So it's my story of the day.
You forgot your headphones, but
But I knew where they were. Last night I said when I left them up there that I'd continually forget them, and I was not wrong.
yeah. There you go. You know yourself pretty dang well.
Mm-hmm.
This is lo-fi.
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 That's cool.
Yeah, I think this might be my favorite one. Pretty sure it was the first one we played. I'm trying all the other ones now. This one's still my preferred.
Makes sense.
It's got a good beat. All right, where were we?
We were working on stuff. I was trying to see if I made myself a note, like I promised myself I would, but I don't think I did. I know what I was working on. I don't know which part you were working on. I was working on the next few lookups that were kind of a little more nested. So I don't return a list of IDs, I return the list of questions and answers.
Yeah, so I'm working on the bookend response service. I wrote down the two actions I need to do is build out the update question, make it find the right answer group, then get the right question, and update it. Okay. Questions to answer. And build out a continue response. Make it add another answer group using the provided questionnaire. So.
It's fancy.
Yeah, so those are my two things. That's what we're gonna do. That's my intention for the next hour. Just try and get this.
Nice. I'm gonna keep working through my list of endpoints and cleaning them up.
Right. And last week we were able to pull data from your server, so that's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still working, it looks like. You ever hate when you get something in your eye? I certainly don't like it.
Yes, I do hate it. You know when you have an eyelash that curls under your eyelid?
Mm-hmm.
That's like next level. So then you can't really, I don't know. That's annoying.
Right, well, I got mine done.
You
See
done
ya
already?
Thursday. Well, apparently I had it working, but I forgot to give it the right fields because I have to. I tried to keep it so you could reuse these for different purposes. Some of these endpoints, so I don't have to make as many. But then you have to, you know, give it the right fields in your request, otherwise it's not going to work. I think that's fair. Yeah, fields ID question. Okay, that's right. That's why it worked. Return is specific. So you can query your bookend, get your list of questionnaires and questions, like everything down the line, or you can query an individual questionnaire and get the list of questions instead of the question ID. It gives the whole object. So that should be good for that. And then I just got to do the answer part now. So I'll be just clean that up, and my routes went from 4 lines to 30 or 40. So it was just the drill down, right? Getting all the data instead of just getting the IDs, which is easy to pull. It's just a lot more moving parts, which is actually good.
Makes it a lot easier for me. That is for sure.
Makes sense. And then the nice thing is it gives you the ID and the question, so you just feed the ID back and it updates the question or the answer. Super simple.
It's perfect.
Super duper simple. Hi, my one viewer. How are you today? Don't answer all at once.
Right, update question should be good to go. Well, at least from
Do you think maybe the reason our bookends didn't have the user ID is because our response is what tracks that instead of the bookend itself? It seems like that's, as I'm going through this, I was wondering about that the other day when I was trying to figure out why I wouldn't have put that in there, because it seems like a big miss to not put that in there. And I'm wondering if it's because the way we structured everything is we have our bookend and the response captures all, but the response would, so every time we create a bookend, the response will hold the value and it'll tell you that that bookend belonged to the user. That seems goofy. I think it would work, but it just seems like, I feel like putting the user ID attached to the bookend would be logically sensible.
yeah. So I mean, one option we have is to generate the default bookends for the person when they copy them. And so that way, every single bookend that they have is theirs, and they can modify it, they can edit it. We don't have to worry about any of that. That's an option. Which I'm not opposed to that, actually. That reduces complexity quite a bit. We don't have to worry about this public, not public. Public is just, it's a view, it's a read only. And just like Google Docs, you make them public, people can make a copy and then edit their copy, but they can't edit yours. Could be valuable, could be simpler. And there's, I mean, the Google Docs being an example, there's obviously others who have maybe thought about this a little bit and they've gone that route.
And then our response encapsulates everything essentially. It gives us, our response is a capture of our bookend. It's a response, captures our questionnaire, which I don't know why. Well, yeah, because we wanted it all linked. We wanted to be able to look at different levels. It captures the user ID who made the answers. So then I have an answer group, which is what tracks my answers, which maps back to a bookend. So that makes sense. I think this makes sense. It's confusing because we have answers and responses, but the response is kind of like an all-encompassing thing, whereas the answer is specific to a question, and an answer group is specific to the group of answers for, let's just call bookend a daily activity for that
Yeah.
daily activity. So that all flows in my head. I think it's smart. The only thing I'll still go back and add, I still think it would be easier. I think my point for the bookend, I think, was more when we were talking about this. The reason I didn't put a user on here is, as I'm looking at this and I'm kind of looking at my notes, is because this wasn't meant to be identified by any person. It would be like a checkout. So like this bookend is version 1, for example, or version 0, and the user would check this bookend out, and our response would say that we used version 0 of bookend. So if they wanted a custom bookend, we would create them a custom bookend, and then it would take our default questionnaire, questions and answers, or yeah, our default questionnaires, and then they could create their own custom bookend. I think it's probably chicken or the egg. I don't think we need to do anything with this now. I just think when we start playing around with this, I think it'd be interesting to see which way is more efficient. Either generating massive bookends or, like I said, that response is kind of cool because it just links everything together. So either way, we'd have it in one place or the other, or both. We probably don't need both. But I think it's. I'll probably bring this up 100 more times, even though I made a note for myself.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It is something to discuss, but I agree we
Yeah.
don't necessarily need to make the decision on it right now.
No. We're testing with a singular user. It's easier to. It's just easier to do this the way we have it, I think. Okay. I don't know if I can quiet type for you. Sorry. I'll do my best.
Type for me?
When I smash in my keyboards.
Oh. You can type however you want. Alright. Finished out the 2 functions. I'm probably gonna come back here and maybe streamline how I use this, but first I'm just gonna try and use it. Got to share my screen.
The nice thing is using like the Twitch Studio, it auto shares. I didn't get in my restream today only because I can't as easily flow your stuff through. Like I can't flow your audio through mine, but with this I can, because I could just capture my Chrome audio. I might be able to do it in there too, but I gotta configure all that and set up streams and mess with that nonsense. For our default bookends, are people required to answer all their questions when they start the process, or can they just answer like 2 and then leave and come back later? Or do you want like instant submission when somebody answers like their first question?
I'll be submitting their answer every time they answer one question.
Okay, that makes sense.
So I believe that's the first thing you described. I'll be saving every time they answer a question.
So we'll be doing a post request for their first, and then we'll basically be doing a put to that. No. Okay, because they're gonna have to capture all their answers in an answer group, so and the response won't matter. I'll think about it. It's not that
Yeah,
hard.
it should be just I'm gonna be making a post request to save the answer every time they submit an answer to a question.
That makes sense. And then when we have to change it, we'll be doing a put request. That makes okay. Just how I write up this next change. What I have might actually be good for now, but I want to make it a little more complex. Not for the sake of complexity, but to do a little bit more.
More robust.
Yep.
as always, there's like so much data manipulation that goes into stuff like this.
Oh yeah.
It's like, again, 80% of my time is spent just, is my data good? And then the
If
rest
it's not,
yeah. Flow of information, man. It's 80% of programming.
yeah, it's certainly something. I need a new keyboard.
Huh?
I just butchered everything.
Or if I'm
Spoons.
an Ian or I've got three options here. One, so I need to get the bookend ID, or basically I need to create a simple way to fetch a question given a question ID.
That's easy. I already have an endpoint for that.
Well, I've already pulled the bookends. I'm assuming I already have all the information. So I don't really want to hit the endpoint again because technically I've already pulled the information I need.
You've already got it in there. Yeah.
So I'm just structuring the information myself so it's easy to get. So option number one is I just store all of the bookends, questionnaires, questions in their own maps with their own IDs. So I deconstruct the bookends that I receive in this format.
And I would do that because you're also storing this stuff offline, right? So if because you're gonna have to take a whole snapshot of it anyways, so that they can work on this while they're not connected. I would almost say that kind of answers it for you. Like, I unless I'm missing something, it just feels like you're already pulling it, you're already storing it. You might as well just use it. And to your point, there's no sense of recalling. There's no sense of recalling the API just to pull one value. Yeah. Does that make sense? I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, in that case, then, I guess the next question becomes: should I save each layer? Basically, should I have a local database that mimics your cloud one?
You should just, and this is why I think version control is so important. You should be able to store the bookend in your app, in your front end, right? In your user database, right? Or your user cache, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
So that you have all those reference points, right? But you don't have to necessarily download every single bookend. You just need the right book. And I think that's why it goes back to, if we just keep the bookend itself as like a versioned bookend where they can pick which version they want of it. We could have thousands in there. That allows you to just store that bookend and then store all the matched responses, answer groups to that one bookend that they're using for the day. And they can use a different one tomorrow, and then you should pull that one too. And I feel like that, to me, is an easier approach. It's certainly going to store up quite a bit of data over time. But it also limits it, Sterling, because you don't have to pull everything. You just need to then store the relationship, right? You just need to store the answers. But if you're pulling a list of everything, you're going to have all that anyways. Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. Oh, I'm glad I'm just doing the easy part, which I mean, I would think about it from a user experience perspective, right? What's going to be the most efficient for them to, like, we probably don't want to store everything. I would say that we store like 30 days of data, for example. So we store like the trailing 30 days worth of bookends, something like that, right? And if you want more, you have to go online, just like a lot of services do. I don't think they store, like if I go offline, I don't get all my data from Google, for example. It cuts it off.
Yeah, there's synced data.
Yeah.
And unsynced data. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, does that help at all? I don't know if it's just I just confused you more, but to me, in my head, it all made sense.
Well, I'm going to have to put boundaries on what information exists locally and what information doesn't. So that isn't something that I hadn't really thought about it until you brought it up, actually. The question I asked was different than the one you answered, but they both, the answer you gave was also helpful for the question I was asking, so we're good.
Yeah, I and that's why I was asking because I know I didn't answer your direct question, but I feel like maybe sometimes I just answer a different question because I feel like it's at a higher level more more encompassing of everything, right? Because I really need to be able to mirror what you're doing, and you need to be able to mirror what I'm doing. But it's a whole heck of a lot easier for me to adjust to you, if that makes sense. Now, my stuff has to be concrete, and it's not going to be changing, right? Yours can certainly go through iterations and changes and displays and all that. But yeah, if there's something I can do to make it easier on your side, just let me know. But I feel like if you solve one, you solve both, I guess. It's just how my mind works. I don't know. I probably could have answered it directly too.
No, I think in terms of data storage on my side, I'm just going to try and find a balance between processing and storage, because I'm already storing all of the bookends that I pull from the server. Like I'm writing all of those to the local file service that I have in one just massive JSON file, which might get untenable as you add, like if you get it to maybe 100, 200, 500 bookends, that might be untenable.
Yeah, but I can also return like the last 100, for example, and never return unless you request more, right? Like I can paginate on my side too, if that helps you at all.
Yeah, so that will help. I just need to add that pagination feature
Okay.
to my side. So it might actually help, I guess, to have each bookend be its own distinct file. And then I can get all of the files that have been most recently used, or have another storage location or a key pair that keeps track of all of the files that have been recently accessed. I think that might be, in the long term, that might be the solution we're talking about, where we both have forms of pagination, where we can access stuff that's older and newer as we wish. So I don't know. I'm gonna let that percolate in the brain a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I know what you're saying, and I'm gonna think about it too. Some of these things are a little tough, right? It's a pretty, because we're tackling more than one thing at once, and it makes a difference, right? It absolutely makes a difference in the long run. But I think I'm not used to storing all that data offline, right? So it's like weird for me to think. But I think if we solve that, we solve the rest of it, right? Like anything that I might need to change could get solved through that process, right? So I can match what you're doing or feed into what you're doing, I guess.
Okay. All right, we're starting to mess with the UI now. Let's go. All right, I think I'm gonna say I'm done for the day.
Okay.
So got quite a bit done. I'd say from my perspective, I got to the point where I'm manipulating UI elements now and making responsive UI for when they fill in a question. So the last piece that I really need to put together is just updating, not updating, but just fetching the answers super simply, so that they're, for example, if they load in a previous response, it shows all the data there. So
Makes
once I
sense.
get that working pretty well, honestly, making the UI should be a piece of cake because all my data will be in place. Everything I need will just be
Hmm.
there. It'll be awesome.
It just populates. It's nice. Like when you get all that right, it's really nice because it just, no matter what you change, you know that it'll just feed through, um, which is nice. Well, if you have to like manipulate it, it's there. And when you add a new entry, it's just there. So it's kind of nice to have all that in place before you have to do too much. It's also fine doing JSON, but I feel like it's nice because all that dynamic data, and you can actually put your finger, you can actually use the app and test it. So have a nice experience. So I always do my back end first. What can I say?
Yeah.
What can I say? It's
You
it's so
need it.
important. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, again, the moment all your data is happy, like you were
Hmm.
saying,
Yep.
it's just so much easier to build whatever you want. You can use the front end and kind of what you want it
Hmm.
to look like as to inform.
Yep.
Again, it really is at the end of the day, it's an iterative process, but you're still messing with data. That's it.
Hmm.
If you can get the data right, you're golden. It's so easy.
I'd agree. I agree. Well, it's been a pleasure as always, and look forward to seeing what progress we make on Thursday. But I'm feeling good about where we're at, and hope once I get this little answer thing done, I think that's the bulk of like the main components I have to do, and then I can start working on locking it down a little bit. Although I don't really want to implement any of that yet until we're done playing around with it. But it's good to find those little quirks early too. So
Yeah.
it's always good. But
So
okay,
for
man.
me, I think the next three things, just when I get back on Thursday, is I need to add the ability to make a directory in the local storage. I realize that'd be pretty nice to be able to separate files. Fetch all files from a local directory or recent files, aka the pagination thing we were talking about.
Hmm.
And the last thing that'll really wrap up all my data and make it nice and pretty is deconstructing the response when you set it. So I can easily retrieve answers and answer groups and display them to the user when they update, when they load them in, etc. So we're close. We're close to
Yeah.
having an interesting app. MVP, let's go.
Yeah.
How many hours has it
Like
been?
LeBron.
Yeah.
Yes. 6 or 7. Something like that. 6 or 7. Yeah.
We're on the
7.
off, so I think it's either 7 or 9 at this point.
7 or 9. I think it's 7, personally.
This
But
is 4. That sounds about right.
yeah.
Let's go, dude. MVP in
Alrighty.
8 hours. We can do
Yeah,
it.
why not? I think we can. It'll be close, but I think we can.
Let's go. I think Thursday we can have something to show for our work.
Yep. It's always fun.
All right. Thanks so much, dude. I appreciate
All right.
it. Have an
You
awesome
take care.
Yeah.
You too. Bye.